Okay, so we've got a new film from Entertainment Squad, people. Yeah, it's been a minute, but we're back. Right? This film is called Peak Season. It is directed by Steven Kanter and Henry Loevner. Right? They both wrote the film as well. I mean, these guys are wearing a lot of hats with this one, because they also serve as producers along with Patrick Ward and Lovell Holder. It's executive produced by Ben Coleman, Derrick Joseph DeBlasis, Rob Massar, and Claudia Restrepo. It's co-executive produced by Patrick Wendell, Kay Osterholt, Simon Hallett, Jane Hallett, and Greg Coleman. It is associate produced by Alan M. Kanter, Bruce Leibowitz and Glenn Leibowitz, and it is co-produced by Tara Siwak. Yeah, that's it. Steven Kanter also handled the music, and Steven and Henry Loevner both did the cinematography and editing of the piece. Right, so as I said, they did wear a lot of hats. Right, our cast. We have got Claudia Restrepo as Amy Jimenez. Her boyfriend, Max Rosen, is played by Ben Coleman. We then have Loren, who is played by Derrick Joseph DeBlasis. There is George Friedman, played by Fred Malamed, and his wife, Lydia, played by Stephanie Courtney. They are friends of... Well, they're friends of Max's. I think Amy knows them a bit, and they also know Loren. Right? We have got Greg Coleman as Uncle Paul. Gadil Del Aube is Ramon. Patty is played by Natasha Dewhurst. We've got Jeremy, played by Ron Hanks. Susan, the physiotherapist, played by Joanna Hanley. Fiona is played by Caroline Kwan. That's Max's school friend. We got Carl, played by Tim DeMotte. Josh, played by William Neff. And Mrs. Jimenez, that's Amy's mother, played by Rose Portillo. So the gist of the film is this. New York yuppies Amy and Max arrive in the wealthy resort town of Jackson Hole, Wyoming, for a summer vacation. When Max is called away on business, Amy finds a friend in Loren, a local wilderness guide. They spend the week together exploring the Tetons. Both lonely and lost in their own lives, Amy and Loren share an instant connection. As her bond with Loren grows into something more than friendship, Amy questions whether she'll return to NYC with Max after all. So there you go with that one. Now, I will say, yuppies is a bit much, right? And that actually does come up in the film, and Amy, answers it, right? But there is something very endearing about this film, right? It's one of those lo-fi slice of life type of flicks. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have heaps and heaps of stuff happening, like action wise or anything. It's a very much a slow burn, and you know what I mean? It's just endearing, right? You know what I mean? I don't know. You kind of buy these characters. You know, I think we've probably all come across people very similar to Amy, Loren, and Max, right? Even Josh. You know what I mean? So I think they come to life because of that, and just the way they're portrayed, right? I think sometimes we'll watch a film and you have characters, but they can be very over the top. You know what I mean? And over the top doesn't necessarily mean just loud and obnoxious and that kind of thing, but just, you know, if someone's meant to be kind of unassuming, that they'll be so standoffish, it's kind of ridiculous. You'd be like, okay, if you were like, you would never navigate life. You wouldn't be able to do anything, right? So it's always about finding that balance. And yeah, we really hit that balance with this one. Now, this, I believe, is only the second feature from our duo, Steven Kanter and Henry Loevner, right? Which I think it really shows a very deft touch in the approach, right? Just for your second feature, you know, the shots and the cinematography is lovely, right? We get these really nice shots. They know when to hold something, when to pull away. Right, with there's some fleeting shots, these looks, just things like that, which are just really well navigated. You know, I think the only thing for me with this is I don't necessarily buy the love connection, right? I don't really buy that. Now, what I kind of look at this as, right? Because within this, right, Amy and Max, they're engaged. They're kind of planning this wedding. But Amy, yeah, I mean, she's been procrastinating over certain things. Like certain times throughout the film, we get mentions of, oh, have you looked at the registry? Or have you done this thing? Have you done that? And she even says at one point that, you know, it's like she feels it's something that you should do, right? So but also that she self-sabotages, right? So I feel that instead of a love connection, it could just be the adriftness of it all, right? Because I think we learn about Lorne's situation. I mean, Josh's situation, right? Everyone is kind of rudderless. And so it's finding what do you actually want from life. You know what I mean? Are you comfortable? But is that comfortability the same as happiness? Right? What do you actually want? Because, you know, we know Amy's been burnt out at work and she's pondering a new career path, but she doesn't really know. Doesn't really know. So I think it's one of those things where you hit that crossroad and it's deciding, oh, where do I want to go? I'm at a certain age where I probably should be making definitive decisions. So what would that be? Where am I going? Right? And that's what I feel this is. So it's an interesting ending in the fact that we don't really know what decisions have technically been made, even though it might look like one thing, right? It's just like, is this definitive? Where are we going? But I like that, right? I like that because that's life, man. Like, it's not always these quick decisions, right? Usually in a film like this, Amy and Loren are in bed within the blink of an eye, right? And we didn't get that, which is great. But it's this slow exploration. And as I said, it's not really an exploration, I feel, about them as a potential couple. It's more like, what do I do? Right? How do I deal with this? And do I want to be with this person? Right? We see the choices Max makes throughout the film. Business, and, he does that. But then, right, we have Fiona, right? So there's so many different things that could be pulling people in all of these different directions. In a way, this kind of reminded me of Nomadland, right? Not really the same film at all, but there's just something that, I don't know, kind of resonated on that same frequency as that, right? I think maybe it's the rudderlessness of it all, right? But yeah, this film, it's kind of like, I don't know, like In Search of a Midnight Kiss, like something like that, but sans the romance, right? It's, finding those distractions in life, right? As and it's also in looking for these things to do, it's kind of like a procrastination from actually sitting down and thinking about, what do I actually need? What am I actually looking for? And that's what I think we're getting here, which is, nice, right? It's sometimes it's nice to see a film that is looking at things in this way, right? As I said, it's not just, jumping into bed with someone straight away, right? Before you know them. So, that was good. And then you get the conversation between Amy, Josh, and Loren is a good one. We're seeing this thing from, 3 different viewpoints. And I think they're all valid, right? I guess even living off a trust fund is valid, right? It might not be what you do, what you're used to, but people do that shit, right? So I think what everyone is saying in this conversation is interesting. It all has merit, but it's just, what do you take away from that, right? How does this impact our characters? So I thought that was, it was just another demonstration of the deft touch in the film. Even the following scenes from that, right? I think that all was done well. In other films, you get these bold, grand kind of things, but no, right? When people have, like this is what happens sometimes. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed it. It's out this Friday on all your favorite VODs. So yeah, it's just there's sometimes I haven't always, gravitated to the stuff Entertainment Squad had, but they do have like some really great films, and our cast really, really good performances. Really good performances. It's funny because I'm watching this and I'm thinking, where do I know Claudia Restrepo from? But I don't know if I have seen any other film with her in, but she just feels so familiar. But it was just really good, demonstration of emotions, right? The goofiness, the disappointment that is hid. All of that really came out without having to try and hammer you over the head with it, right? We didn't need any mood music to show, oh, Amy's disappointed, or, anything like that. Like, everything just spoke for itself, like Max, right? With all of that, because you can see what he's doing isn't necessarily malicious. It's, it's a bit tone deaf, right? But all of that, boom, it oozes out of that performance. So it's just, yeah, it's a really, really nice film, If you're into stuff like Nomadland, In Search of a Midnight Kiss, Before Sunrise, just any film like that, I think you will enjoy Peak Season, right? So it's out on VODs from Friday. People, Peak Season.